Welcome to Title IX training, required for all Fairbanks North Star Borough School District employees. Over the course of this training, you will be provided with information about what Title IX is, the importance of equity in our schools, and be provided a brief history of Title IX. At the end of the training, you should be able to understand the different types of sexual harassment, know your obligations for reporting sexual harassment as a district employee, and know how to file a Title IX report. Title IX is a federal law that was passed in 1972. It states no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefit of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. This law prohibits any school district that receives federal funding from discriminating against employees or students on the basis of sex. This law applies to the Fairbanks North Star Borough School District. The importance of this law and its impact on our students is a responsibility held by everyone in our district. It is important to understand what this law means and how it applies to you. Why are you receiving Title IX training? The Department of Education released new regulations related to Title IX in May 2020. The new regulations govern how the district responds to sexual harassment and Title IX complaints. The new regulations require that all district employees complete annual training to understand the importance of Title IX, the obligations Title IX imposes on the district, and the individual obligations of every employee of the district. Who is the district's Title IX team? Allison Baldock is the Title IX coordinator, and Rachel Stockton is the Title IX assistant. Title IX is an equity law ensuring students are allowed equal participation in the district's programs and activities free of sex discrimination. Often, people misconstrue Title IX as a women's rights law. While it did have a significant and positive impact on female participation in school activities and programs, the law was written as an equity law. What this means is that Title IX applies to both female and male students and employees. This slide is an example of what equity is. In the first image, we see that every student watching the game is provided equal support to view the game, even though not all of the students need support to view. As you can see, even with the equal support, the student on the right of the first image is still unable to see the game. In the middle image, we see that the unique needs of each student are being addressed and they are each given different support so that they all have equal access to view the game. In the image on the right, the barrier has been removed so that all students have equal access to view the game with no supports. This is what Title IX aims to achieve. The cause of inequity is addressed and the systematic barrier is removed. Title IX started as an equity law to ensure equal access to school districts' programs and activities. Since 1972, Title IX has evolved primarily through the courts. The Supreme Court has ruled that under Title IX, not only can a school district lose its federal funding, but it can also face lawsuits from private parties. Today, Title IX aims to prevent sexual discrimination in education programs and activities. The law protects both staff members and students. Title IX focuses on two major things: inequality in programs and activities, and combating incidents of sexual harassment, domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking. It is easy to understand why treating one sex unfavorably in a program or an activity would constitute discrimination, but where does sexual harassment, domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and stalking fit in? Sexual harassment, sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking are forms of sex discrimination, as these types of conduct can prevent a student from participating in the district's programs or activities. For example, if a student is sexually assaulted at a school event and then has to continually interact with their abuser in class and in the hallways, they will likely have trouble focusing, avoid going to class, or even possibly avoid attending school. This will have a direct impact on this student's ability to participate in school and will likely result in attendance and grade issues. Sexual harassment falls under three main categories: quid pro quo, unwelcome conduct, and acts defined under federal law. We will discuss each of these individually. Quid pro quo is when an employee gives an aid, benefit, or service to an individual in exchange for a sexual favor. It can also be when an aid, benefit, or service is withheld from an individual in exchange for a sexual favor. Essentially, quid pro quo is this for that. An example of this would be a manager who refuses to hire people who do not sleep with her. Unwelcome conduct refers to unwelcome sexual conduct that is severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive. What this means is the conduct is so serious and so widespread that it would be offensive to the average person. This is the broadest type of sexual harassment under Title IX. Whether or not conduct constitutes unwelcome conduct is very fact dependent. Some examples might be taking and sharing of nude photos on social media, continual inappropriate sexual touching, or sexually inappropriate comments and gestures. Sexual assault is any sexual act directed against another person without the consent of the victim, including instances where the victim is incapable of giving consent. This could be due to intoxication or age, for example. An example of sexual assault is what one would traditionally view as rape. Dating violence is any form of violence committed against a current or former romantic or intimate partner. An example of dating violence would be when a girlfriend punches her boyfriend in the face during an argument. Domestic violence is any violent crime committed against a current or former partner or spouse or someone the offender shares a child with or lives with. An example of domestic violence would be a husband physically assaulting his wife. Stalking is conduct directed at someone that causes them to fear for their safety or suffer emotional distress. An example of stalking would be when a boy has a crush on a girl and follows her home from school every day. When does Title IX apply? Title IX applies when the district has control over the harasser and the harassment. In other words, the student or employee engaging in the harassing behavior must be a student or employee of the district, and the conduct must have occurred at school or at a school-sponsored event. An example of when Title IX would apply is if a student of the district inappropriately touches another student in a district classroom or at a school basketball game hosted by the district. What are your obligations under Title IX as a district employee? If you have actual knowledge of sexual harassment, domestic or dating violence, sexual assault, and/or stalking, you are obligated to report it to the Title IX coordinator. So what is actual knowledge? If you see sexual harassment, you have actual knowledge. If someone reports sexual harassment to you, you have actual knowledge. If you overhear rumors of sexual harassment, you may have actual knowledge. In all situations, it is best to report it to the Title IX coordinator. When in doubt, report. This is not the same thing as being a mandated reporter as you learned in the child abuse training. Under Title IX, you are also required to report sexual harassment to the Title IX coordinator. What are the district's obligations under Title IX? To investigate, stop, prevent, and remedy sexual harassment. This means the district must look into all reported incidents, stop the alleged conduct, prevent it from happening again, and provide remedies. Remedies are actions the district takes to protect the safety of our students and ensure equal access to their education. This could be, but is not limited to, changing of bus routes, class schedules or locker rooms, no contact orders, or the ability to make up work and tests. What are some examples of behavior that you might see that would fall under Title IX that need to be reported? Supervisor conditioning a positive performance review or a promotion on a sexual favor, students sharing inappropriate content on social media at school, such as nude photos or videos depicting sexual behavior, inappropriate and unwanted sexual conduct in hallways or classrooms, domestic or dating violence such as emotional, physical, sexual violence or stalking behavior between two students or two employees that are dating or used to date, Inappropriate sexual behavior between an employee and a student. This is not a complete list. These are just types of behaviors you are most likely to see in a K-12 environment. If you are at all concerned about behavior you witness or hear about, report it. It is important to be alert and recognize signs of someone who is experiencing or has experienced sexual harassment. These signs can include changes in behavior, mood, or appearance, drop in grades, increase in disciplinary issues, increase in absences, avoiding commonly visited places such as certain hallways, stairwells, or lockers, sudden avoidance of certain students or employees. Oftentimes, inappropriate sexual behavior does not occur in the open. Much of it occurs on social media, in secluded areas that lack monitoring, and or outside the presence of adults. Even if you do not have significant contact with students, it is important to be alert and recognize signs of someone who is experiencing or has experienced sexual harassment. Remember, if you have actual knowledge or concerns of sexual harassment, domestic or dating violence, sexual assault, or stalking, you are obligated to report it to the Title IX coordinator. You are required to make a report as soon as practically possible. The report can be made by phone or in writing, and a report in writing can be done electronically via email. Reports can be also made online on the district's Title IX webpage, which can be accessed via the department's link under the Our District drop-down menu. You do not need to wait for a supervisor's approval to make the report. All allegations involving sexual harassment should be forwarded to the Title IX coordinator. It is the determination of the Title IX coordinator whether or not the conduct meets the definition under Title IX and whether to move forward with the investigation. No matter how small or how slight the information, if the information you receive involves behavior that could possibly be sexual harassment, you need to make a report. It is not sufficient to simply report the incident to your building administration. You must report to the Title IX coordinator. See something, say something. If you have questions, contact the Title IX coordinator, Allison Baldock, at extension 11466 or EEO at k12northstar.org.